G'day guys and girls, welcome back to SideQuest Gaming, where we take a look at both old games and new to try and uncover some of those little hidden gems you might want to take a crack and have a look at for yourself. Today we're going to break down some of our sales that are on the Steam Automation Fest, which this Steam sale is on until July 21st at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and we're going to go through some of the little highlights that we've kind of pulled out of this particular sale. First up, we have Shapez. Shapez is a kind of easygoing minimalist factory building game about automation of shapes through kind of extraction and kind of setting up your supply lines that kind of create increasingly complex shapes or change their colors, things like that, to meet specific needs. It's quite an interesting little title that is on a huge 80% discount at the moment at Australian $2.90 or your regional equivalent. Dyson Sphere program. The Dyson Sphere program is at 20% off or $23.16 Australian or your regional equivalent. And Dyson Sphere is a bit, if you've ever read like the Bobiverse or any of those kind of books, it's very much about creating your own efficient intergalactic factory. And it's very much a simulation strategy game around harnessing the power of the stars, which a Dyson Sphere is essentially, building a power plant around a star. And so you kind of create this whole interstellar factory system, which is really interesting. Graphics are great. The discount's not enormous. It's not, the highest discount that we've seen out there. However, it is at its lowest recorded price that I am aware of at the moment. SHENZHEN.io. SHENZHEN.io is at 50% off at $10.90 Australian or your regional equivalent. SHENZHEN.io is quite a complex game where you essentially build your own circuit systems and you write code to complete certain projects and puzzles. It is an interesting game if you have a level of knowledge about coding and a level of knowledge about circuit creation, and it might really be up your alley. It is quite a challenging game, however. Opus Magnum. Opus Magnum is at 50% off at $14.75 Australian or your regional equivalent. It's not the lowest it's been, but it is a pretty decent discount on it. It is an open-ended puzzle game where you design and build machines that kind of assemble potions, poisons, and things like that using like alchemical kind of combinations. Satisfactory. Satisfactory is the classic one. It is at 30% off at $40.95. It has been up to 50% off at times, so not the highest discount that it's had. So $40.95 Australian or your regional equivalent, but it is one of the classic automation and world builder factory games that's out there. Its graphics are fantastic. It does have co-op elements, although you can play it quite well alone. You're on alien planets creating these multi-story factories, and the kind of conveyor belts and structures that you wind up building just explode across the whole map. Definitely one worth looking at if it's been on your wish list and one of the ones that you want to pick up. It does have incredibly high reviews as well. EXAPUNKS. EXAPUNKS is at 50% off at $14.75 Australian or your regional equivalent, lowest it has been, and it is a interesting kind of a retro-styled hacking game where it's kind of set in 1997, and you have to move through various puzzles to write viruses to hack everything around you, and it's quite an interesting take. The art style and the aesthetic are quite interesting. Worth a look if you haven't seen it before. Big Pharma. Big Pharma is at 70% off at $10.95 Australian or your regional equivalent. Big Pharma is really in the name, in the title. You are in charge of a big pharmaceutical company, and your job is to basically produce pharmaceutical agents to help improve the lives of millions, solve diseases, get vaccines out there, that kind of stuff, but also to make a lot of money. Kind of the American model for for how we deal with medication, to be honest. But well put together. It's good, got some good graphics. If that seems up your alley, have a look. SpaceChem. SpaceChem is at 50% off at $7.25 Australian or your regional equivalent. SpaceChem is where you really kind of take on this role of setting up factories on other planets in space where you have these like nodes that transmute various chemicals to, provide different, I guess, materials for the colony. And you construct these kind of elaborate factories that transmute chemicals in the different nodes into raw material, into valuable chemical products from raw materials. And it does actually have quite a complex, I guess, chemical structure to the puzzle making game. Definitely, definitely a bit of a mind bender. So you kind of want to know what you're doing, but have a look at the video, see what you think. It might be of interest to you. Tunnet. Tunnet is at 50% off at $4.39 Australian. I have no idea whether I'm saying that name properly, but it is very much about building and optimizing a computer network in an underground facility. And it's got a bit of a almost like horror bent to it. So it's an interesting little title, worth having a look at. Beautiful Desolation. Beautiful Desolation is my bonus one that I'm throwing in here. It's not actually part of the sale itself, but it is on 50% off for Australian, only $9.47 at the moment, or your regional equivalent. It is freaking fantastic. It's an isometric point and click, well, RPG really, kind of point and click adventure / RPG in such an interesting post-apocalyptic world. It's kind of South African culturally made, so it's got a very different bent to a lot of the things that you may have experienced in other RPGs or other point-and-click adventures. The art style's fantastic, and it is a really interesting, really unique and enjoyable experience. I highly recommend picking it up if you are into these kind of games. As I said, it's actually a really good price at the moment. It has been lower before, but definitely one of those hidden gems if you've never played it. So check it out. Anyway, that's been the wrap-up of the Automation Fest from the titles that stood out to us. There wasn't anything particularly enormously discounted, to be honest. The main one that stood out to me was Shapez. The other ones are more a case of games that you might find interesting if this is your particular jam, and they're the ones that seem to be the most valued to me. Shapez is the one that seems the strongest discount and an easy pick up at only $2.90 Australian. Anyway, thank you so much for spending the time with me. Hopefully this has been useful for you. Please like, subscribe, leave any comments below if there's any of these games that I've listed that are particularly of interest to you, or if there's another one that you've seen on sale that you think is even better than the ones I put out there. Please put it below so that others can access it. As always, have an amazing day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.